My brother-in-law's grandfather, Mr. Song Tao, was a respected scholar in his county. One day, he was lying in bed due to illness when he suddenly saw an official holding an official document and leading a horse with white hair on its forehead. The official approached and said, "Please come to take the exam, sir." Mr. Song asked, "How can an exam suddenly be held without the arrival of the chief examiner?" The official did not answer, but kept urging him to depart. Mr. Song had no choice but to mount the horse with difficulty and follow the official, feeling that the road they were taking was very unfamiliar. Shortly, they arrived at a city that resembled a royal residence. Soon, they entered a magnificent governmental palace. In the grand hall, there were several officials seated, most of whom Mr. Song did not recognize, except for one who was Guan Yu, known as Guan Zongmiao. In the front courtyard of the hall, there were 2 desks and 2 cushions, with another scholar already seated in the lower seat. Mr. Song sat beside him. Each desk had paper and a pen. After a while, a paper with a topic written on it descended from above. Mr. Song read the topic, which consisted of 8 characters: 1 person, 2 people, with heart, without heart. After finishing their essays, they submitted their answers. Mr. Song's essay included the sentence, "A person who intends to do good, though doing good, should not be rewarded. A person who unintentionally does evil, though doing evil, can be excused from punishment." The officials in the hall passed around his essay and praised it highly. Then they summoned Mr. Song to the hall and said, "There is a vacancy for a city god in Henan, and you are suitable for this position." Mr. Song realized the situation and started crying, saying, "I am honored by this great responsibility. How can I refuse? But my elderly mother is over 70 years old and has no one to take care of her. Please allow me to stay with her until her death before taking up the post." The emperor-like figure in the hall immediately ordered to check his mother's lifespan. An official with a long beard checked the records and said, "She has 9 more years to live." The officials were hesitant, so Guanxing Dijun said, "Let's allow the scholar named Zhang to act as a substitute for 9 years, and then Mr. Song can take over." The emperor-like figure then said to Mr. Song, "You should take the post immediately, but considering your filial piety, you are granted a 9-year leave. We will summon you again when the time comes." He then said some encouraging words to Scholar Zhang. The 2 scholars bowed in gratitude and left the hall together. Scholar Zhang held Mr. Song's hand until they reached the outskirts, introduced himself as Zhang from Changshan, and gave Mr. Song a farewell poem. However, Mr. Song forgot most of the poem, remembering only the lines, "With flowers and wine, spring always stays, without candles and lamps, the night is naturally bright." After mounting his horse, Mr. Song bid farewell to Scholar Zhang and returned home, feeling as if he had just awakened from a long dream. At that moment, he had been dead for 3 days. His mother heard groaning from the coffin and quickly helped him out. After half a day, Mr. Song could speak. He sent someone to inquire in Changshan and confirmed that a scholar named Zhang had indeed died on the same day. 9 years later, Mr. Song's mother truly passed away. After burying her, he took care of himself and entered his room, where he died. Mr. Song's father-in-law lived in the western part of the city. That day, he suddenly saw Mr. Song riding a beautifully decorated horse, followed by many carriages and servants. Mr. Song entered the inner hall to bid farewell. The whole family was puzzled, not knowing that Mr. Song had become a deity. Mr. Song's father-in-law sent someone to inquire in Mr. Song's hometown, only to find out that Mr. Song had already died. Mr. Song had written a brief biography of himself, but unfortunately, it was not preserved due to the wars, and what is recorded here is just a rough summary.